Okay, Cal.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hold on.
All right.
Well, I see if we're live on Facebook. I'm just double checking if we're live here, Cal.
Okay.
And
Good.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you well.
Okay,
Can
hold
you hear
on.
me?
Hold on. Well, it says that we're live on Facebook. I want to just double check that, make sure that we are.
Okay. Am I coming through there all right?
You're coming through great. I'm just wanting to double check here to show that we're live on Facebook. And it says that we're live, so we're live streaming as we are.
Okay.
So Cal, I just want to double check something one more time real quick. And see if it shows us here.
Hey, son. I'm here. I'm getting school. There, take my cell phone.
Okay, so we're live on Facebook. We're going to go ahead and start recording this, Cal.
Okay.
And we're recording. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Epitropoulos. And right next to me, and we have Dr. Kel Streeter. And we are having a live stream on Facebook this evening, June the 10th, Wednesday evening. Dr. Streeter and I are two doctors that have been practicing for some time together. Dr. Streeter is an osteopathic physician who has been practicing for some, what we say, 45 some years, Kel?
Yes, sir. Off and on.
His outreach has been significant through the years. Thousands and thousands of patients that he has treated using natural medicine, using the body's ability to heal and repair and rebuild on its own rather than relying
Right.
pharmaceuticals. Cal, what you want to add to that?
I quit playing doctor 35 years ago. I let the body play doctor. You can either decide whether you want to treat a problem and use pharmaceuticals to help you live with your condition, or you can feed the body what it needs and let your body heal itself.
And that really was the key, isn't it, Cal? It's really what it's all about.
That's the key. Are we going to play doctor, or are we going to let the body play doctor?
And you know, Cal, you've told me many times, and I want to, say this much, folks. Dr. Cal has been my mentor for a very long time. And I consider it an honor just to be able to have him with me tonight. But his advice, sage advice to me always as a physician is that, the doctors are treating the test, not the patient. Correct, Cal?
That's right. The chiropractor, the osteopaths 75 years ago are right where the chiropractors are today. Okay, we made a decision 75 years ago to take an unlimited license, and we sold our soul for a license. We traded our health and wellness medicine for pharmaceutical medicine. Okay, and we sold our soul for a license. Today we're scientists and not clinicians. All right.
And really, Cal, that's why tonight and every Wednesday night, you and I have decided to really reach out and give this kind of information to everyone, because
That's right.
the doctors are not giving this information out, Cal, as I know you will agree, and people are still living in the dark when it comes to their health, the most important thing that they have.
Well, more and more doctors are wanting to go this way, but they've been trained in pharmaceutical medicine and in clinic in the laboratory medicine, and not in clinicians medicine. Okay, I don't care what the lab says. I want my patients to be well. And if we're not careful, we'll start being scientists instead of clinicians.
So for you folks listening in tonight, and by the way, those of you who are missing this live, it will be recorded. It will be posted on Facebook, on YouTube. I also have a recording in Zoom that I'll even send to you if you like. But what we want to do tonight is we want to discuss a gland in the body that creates about 90% of the population of this country is having trouble with this gland. And it's called the thyroid gland. And Dr. Streeter and I have together combined almost over 75 years of practice, clinical practice. We see so much of this more than any other situation for patients is their thyroid gland. So Dr. Streeter, could we first start out by you explaining exactly the function of the thyroid gland?
The thyroid gland is a little butterfly gland that's at the base of the throat here, right around the Adam's apple, right around your voice box. And it produces micro amounts of hormones all the time that control our metabolism. Every cell in the body, every tissue in the body relies on the thyroid for its energy. Without thyroid function, you don't have proper energy. All you have to do, if you learn how to do a history, I do a history on every patient, and 9 times out of 10, I can pick out a thyroid issue just doing the history. Okay? It affects ladies about 80 to 90% more than it affects men.
Why is that, Cal?
Every time a lady ovulates, she uses thyroid. And if she doesn't have enough iodine in her body to feed the thyroid, then she has symptoms of hypothyroidism or low thyroid, and she won't ovulate properly. One of the first symptoms of low thyroid is menstrual irregularity. If a lady has menstrual irregularity, 9 times out of 10, she's dealing with a thyroid issue.
So because of the fact that the ladies, when they're ovulating, are using up a lot of the iodine, would you not then agree that when a woman finally is not having a period anymore, going through menopause, she would be extremely depleted? I mean, what age would a woman be when she's finally really depleted and her thyroid is really depleted?
Her thyroid ought to function more when she gets older than it did when she was younger. But here's our problem, Mike. We've got a nation where we consider 1.5 milligrams of iodine all we need to keep us from getting goiters. That's enlargement of the thyroid. Well, that's almost stupidity, because a lady needs 25 milligrams of iodine and a man needs 12.5 milligrams of iodine to keep his glands functioning properly.
So obviously then we're lacking in our food, obviously, then what you're saying.
We are. And we've fallen into the trap of thinking because we don't get goiters, then we've got a healthy thyroid.
So I guess the pressing problem here is just by the fact that our soil and our food is deficient early on in iodine, right?
That's right.
We're behind the 8 ball right out of the gate. The women
That's
are
exactly
particularly,
right.
correct?
That's exactly right. And the fact that we don't eat a lot of saltwater fish, that's where you get iodine from. Okay, and most of our sea salt has so much petroleum in it from petroleum spills that I don't recommend that either. Okay.
What do you recommend?
We're really see, again, you're really stating the fact that we're really behind that 8 ball right out of the gate. And would you not agree? One of the issues too, most gals at an early age are on the pill or put on the pill. Would you agree? Would you say, Cal, that being on the pill is right early out of the gate affecting the thyroid?
It affects every organ in the body. Okay. Horses produce, ladies produce 90% estriol, 10% estradiol. Horses produce an excess of estrone and very little or any estriol. And the pharmaceutical companies make estradiol, dominant hormones, and very little estriol.
So they're doing the reverse. They're giving in the medication, typically in the pill, especially, which is the pill is estrogen. It's not the estrogen really that the body should be getting, right?
That's right. Now, the other thing that they do, the pharmaceutical companies, ladies produce estriol dominant hormones and progesterone. Horses produce estrone dominant hormones and progestins. Pharmaceutical companies make estradiol and progestins. I don't want progestins in my ladies. I don't want them to get estrone. I don't want them to get estradiol.
But therein lies, and we'll get into this further because folks, the you that are listening, this evening, we cannot possibly cover the subject of the thyroid in its entirety. This is going to be the beginning of a series of weekly segments on just the thyroid because there is so much of this to cover. We're going to scratch the surface tonight, but in reference to the thyroid medication or to the pill itself, and when they do hormone replacement therapy is what we're talking about. Dr. Streeter has been referring to. They're using mare's urine, which is Dr. Streeter's pointing out is the reverse of what the woman's body needs, basically.
You got 3 areas that you have to get balanced in order for the thyroid to work: thyroid, adrenals, and hormones.
Well, and on that subject, let's just delve about, now that you've explained the function of the thyroid, Dr. Cal, could you go over what symptoms would someone be experiencing to know that they have an issue with their thyroid?
Weight gain, decreased energy, in ladies, menstrual irregularities. Okay.
Yes.
A lot of people, their temperature, all they got to do is check their temperature before they get out of bed in the morning. For ladies that are menstruating, they do that the day they menstruate or the day after. Okay. One of the first little girls that came to me years and years and years ago was a 12-year-old little girl, and she had hormone problems. And until we got her hormones straightened out and her thyroid straightened out, she could not function properly. She told me when she came in, she said, if you don't do something for me, I'm going to kill somebody 1 week out of the month. Okay.
So in listing these symptoms of thyroid that a woman would know, especially that she's having thyroid problems, would you say the most predominant one, of course, we said weight gain is one, or an inability to lose weight.
Yeah,
would you say though, what about with and the hair? What would a woman notice with her hair? What changes would be going on with her hair with the thyroid?
Yeah, for if she's losing eyebrows and losing hair, that's a telltale symptom of thyroid issues.
How about hands and feet getting cold easily? Because the body's thermostat which is the thyroid, right?
Yes, yes, sir. Cold hands and feet, telltale sign, especially if they live in Florida and they got cold hands and feet, you got something wrong with you.
How about also the skin getting dry as well?
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cracked heels. Even with emotions, Kel, what was some of the things that you see with gals that are having thyroid issues when it comes to depression and moods and anxieties and all that? And because obviously, right, Cal, the thyroid is a big player in the emotional department.
It is. It is. You have a hard time separating bioidentical hormones from the thyroid. They go like a hand in glove. You have to get those balanced. And if a lady comes to you and she's depressed, she's emotionally up and down, you got to get those balanced. And so you can't deal with one without dealing with the other.
So would you not agree? We have a population of people, men and women, both, Cal, as you well know, that are on antidepressants, right? And antipsychotics and sleeping aids. And especially now with this horrible catastrophic issues that we're having with what we've been dealing with this pandemic, and of course the way everything else is going, we have people dealing more so with depression and all kinds of mental health issue, but yet the thyroid is the big player in all of this, right? So when a person has a thyroid problem, more than likely it's very easy for them to have these kind of problems.
Right. You don't make much money though if you just deal with the thyroid and don't treat with psychotic drugs and pharmaceuticals. Okay, that's the whole issue. You're fighting an economic battle.
That's why you folks listening tonight, because we're going to be talking about things that pertain to thyroid. There's signs and symptoms of thyroid problems, and again, we're talking about depression, anxiety, all kinds of issues that deals with your emotions, and we discuss weight gain, and we discuss the hair, and we discuss and fatigue, right, Cal? The patients with thyroid have extreme fatigue. Would you not agree?
I agree. I have a thyroid protocol. If they email my son, he can send them the protocol, and it goes right down through what you ought to look at if you're going to get a thyroid issue.
Yeah, in fact, what we'll do at the end of each segment, like tonight, we'll give my number, phone numbers, because Dr. Kell, all that you folks need information from Dr. Kell, you can get a hold of me, and then I'll convey it on to Dr. Kell.
Email my son. My son at streetercal@gmail.com.
So Kel and I both are here to, we've got available the information that you need. But right now, what we want to do is, in discussing the signs and symptoms of thyroid, Kel, the next thing I want to go to as it relates to the thyroid is the biggest thing that we see also. A lot of the patients will say that, for example, my female patients will say, Dr. Mike, they checked my thyroid and they said it was great. And so I said, well, you're not getting all the right blood tests, the markers, the specific markers for the thyroid they're not doing. So Cal, could you talk about that for a little bit, and what really markers need to be done to get an accurate overview of the thyroid?
If you got thyroid issues, you've got to have free T3, free T4, TSH, thyroid peroxidase antibodies, TPO, thyroid globulin antibodies, okay, and a reverse T3. Now, here's the issue. Here's why you have to do that. Your thyroid produces 10% T3. The T4 is inactive. T3 is the active thyroid. That T4 converts to T3. Iodine and selenium combine to convert T4 to T3. Okay, it's called thyroid peroxidase. Now, even though this T4 is inactive, it controls the thyroid stimulating hormone coming out of our pituitary. If we don't have enough iodine, we don't shut down that thyroid stimulating hormone, and it keeps screaming at our thyroid to give us more thyroxine. The thyroid says, I'm doing all I can do. 2 or 3 things happen. Either you get an enlarged thyroid, a nodule on your thyroid, or the immune system kicks in to try and help you. Instead of helping you, to attack you, and that's thyroiditis. About 75% of the ladies that come to me that have low thyroid, okay, that's the immune system attacking your thyroid. If you see anybody with an autoimmune disease, check their thyroid, because that's usually where it started.
So we can simplify this, Cal. That comes down to you have the pituitary gland producing the TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone, and then the chain from there is the T4 is getting converted to T3, correct?
Right. That's right. And the most important hormone of the thyroid is your T3.
And that T3 is the most important hormone because that then, in other words, for the T4's got to convert to T3 for the thyroid to finally engage. But iodine has to be present at a certain amount for this whole process to go on, correct?
Yeah. Here's the whole problem. TSH is controlled by T4. T4 is inactive. Okay. Now, if you're a regular doctor and you're treating with the synthroid or levothyroxine, that's just T4. That's a mistake. That'll shut your thyroid down and you don't get any T3. Okay, but that's the way most doctors are trained. All right, I don't want to get in a fight with the doctors, but they need to learn to use thyroid that is bioidentical, or we call it thyroid extract instead of just T4. Okay, I like bovine thyroid better than porcine thyroid. Pork thyroid, we've had a fist fight with pork thyroid. Okay.
And we use, as you know, and you are the one that's trained me on it, the product that's Ecothyro, right?
That's porcine
Ecothyroid
thyroid.
is a porcine thyroid, and that's a glandular, as we call it, natural supplement, but it's powerful, and it's like Cal is mentioning, it's helping out this T4 that's inactive, right? And it's not causing the TSH or the feedback to happen, the negative feedback.
Well, here's the issue. It's T3. So if you use extract, 9 times out of 10, you can give the thyroid extract, give them iodine and selenium, and their thyroid will come back to work again. And that's what we don't want to do if we're in conventional medicine. If you come back to work again, then you don't need to be buying pharmaceutical issue. That makes sense?
Yes, it does, Cal. And really, so I think one of the issues, and you and I have this discussion all the time, the patients that are coming to see us because they've been on the medication, the thyroid medication, and after a while, it's a matter of actually that medication almost just shutting down the thyroid after a while. Would you not agree, Cal?
I agree. Now here's the issue. There are no 2 patients exactly alike. That which fits everybody doesn't fit anybody. So you have to individualize it. And once they find out what they need, here's where I get into trouble. I tell them, I say, if you find out what you need hormonally and thyroid wise, you kick everybody out of the way, me and everybody else.
But see, now in our way of practicing, we're individualizing that thyroid need
Right.
Because the cookie cutter is unfortunately, you know, the approach of having everybody on thyroid medication is unfortunately, you know, it's not addressing the individual situation, right?
Right.
And so tonight and the nights to come on Wednesday nights, we'll be looking at those individual type cases and what we will do, what we would do in that individual case. But we want to give this kind of overview tonight, again, scratching the surface, a fundamental introduction to the thyroid so that you folks
Right.
listening can understand the basis of what the thyroid is, how it
Yes, sir.
functions, what are some of the signs and symptoms of the thyroid. Speaking of the signs and symptoms, and I know we're jumping all over the place, and when it relates to men now, us guys, Cal, what do you see in working with the male patient is who comes into you and he's got a full-fledged underactive thyroid? What are some of the issues you see with men? For example, can a underactive thyroid problem cause heart problems eventually?
I want to see how much iodine, what's the iodine level. I seldom do blood tests for iodine. I have them get betadine, the dark iodine, put a drop on their skin, and if the betadine color is gone in 12 hours, they need more iodine.
So for you folks listening tonight, and if you're not a patient of mine, because you all know what this test is all about, it's called the iodine stain test that Dr. Streeter is referring to. And by the way, this test, which basically was a test that the old kind country doctors would do, like you, Dr. Streeter, when you didn't have all those tests to run, and you would depend on simply taking a medicinal, we used to call it mercurochrome, right?
Right.
And they call it now medicinal iodine. So you folks out there, you can take a stain like that you put iodine on cuts and bruises, and you would just put some on a patch of skin on either the top here or the other side.
Yes, sir.
First thing in the morning, and you're going to cover a little square area of that skin, that patch, and you're covering it with that iodine, that medicinal iodine, and you're going to see how long does it take for that stain to disappear. Now, if your thyroid's working optimally, Kel, it would be take 12 hours, right? For that stain to be gone. That's going to tell you that you're not iodine deficient. Your thyroid has an adequate amount of iodine, excuse me, your thyroid has an adequate amount of iodine, right, to use, right, Cal?
Right.
Where if that stain is gone, typically, what, like 3-4 hours or whatever, what are we looking at then?
Yeah, well, if you do the skin test, you're going to want to get a 5% iodine solution.
5%.
Yeah, you want both the two kinds of iodine. What are the two kinds of iodine? The iodine extract has two kinds of iodine in it. What are those two kinds of iodine? That one feeds the thyroid and the one feeds the rest of the body. Okay.
Yes.
But they have those two in them, and
yes.
you're going to want to get those.
Yes.
You're going to get that, and you go up by drops. If they get 5% iodine extract, there'll be 6.25 milligrams per drop. Okay. And I go up 6 milligrams per drop until it just doesn't disappear anymore. All right.
So you're basically, when we're establishing the baseline of the stain, and let's say the person is noticing the stain is gone in 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
One of the treatments that you use is having them take a drop of iodine every couple of weeks.
Right. Right.
And they increase that drop by 1 drop every 2 weeks.
Right. Based on whether the iodine disappears or not.
Right. Because
now,
that's good. Go ahead.
You got to metabolize that iodine. You have to have either selenium. I use thyrotane from orthomolecular because that's got iodine in it. It's got selenium in it. It's got everything you need to feed that thyroid. And I use that, a couple of those twice a day. And I take that personally. I take that twice a day. Okay. Because that along with iodine, makes my body be able to metabolize the iodine. That makes sense?
And it really comes down to the body's ability to metabolize iodine. Would you not agree?
Exactly right.
And
That's
the problem is, for most people, their bodies do not have enough iodine to metabolize.
Yeah, and we don't have the basic minerals to help us metabolize that iodine. Okay.
We're lacking the essential minerals that we need to metabolize iodine in our soil. We're not getting it in the food that we're eating.
That's exactly right.
The foods that we're eating are causing us to lose those essential minerals. Would you not agree also, like when we talk about bromide and fluoride and chloride in the water, bromide and fluoride are affecting the thyroid levels, right?
We have so much stuff competing for iodine. Okay. You take mercury, that competes with iodine. Every vaccine that we give has mercury in it. That's what thimerosal is, okay? That competes with iodine. Most of our cosmetics have mercury and aluminum in them. That competes with iodine, okay? So it doesn't take much. You look at our food supply. If you've got a lot of what's the other thing that competes with iodine that's in all of our food? Okay.
Chlorine.
Bromine.
Yeah.
They used to put. We used to not put bromine in our bread, but we use bromine in our bread now.
Bromide in bread. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That competes with iodine.
So
you're really butting your head against the wall here when it comes to if you don't eat organically, you're going to get foods that have things that compete with iodine.
So it's no wonder that we're talking about 90% of the population has thyroid problems. Correct, Cal? Would you not agree?
That's right.
And then when we talk about the vast implication, and you mentioned earlier in the discussion tonight, that the thyroid affects every organ system in the body. I mean, everyone, right? So go ahead.
Here's another red herring. If you eat foods that have been grown in the Southwest, they're irrigated with water from the Columbia River that has rocket fuel in it.
Wow.
Okay, and rocket fuel perchlorate competes with iodine. So the vegetables and fruits you're getting that are irrigated by the perchlorate water, it's going to have perchlorate in it.
Wow. So the foods coming from the West in those areas of the country that have been irrigated by perchlorate chemical is it's creating the deficiency significantly of iodine.
Right. It competes with iodine. If you've got a competitor for iodine, it's going to keep you from absorbing and metabolizing it.
So, those listening tonight, you shake our heads because we're behind the 8 ball again. When we talk about here again, we talked about how deficient we are from day one, or the access we have so deficient in this particular in iodine. And as you can all listen and hear, the iodine is so critical to life, essentially.
Yeah. And iodine competitors keep us from absorbing and metabolizing iodine. If you live in the Midwest in the wintertime, we get all of our fruits and vegetables from the Southwest.
Wow. So it's no wonder, Cal, that you see probably every patient you see has some type of thyroid issue going on.
You need to use organic. You need to eat organic.
So while we're on the subject of the thyroid, and I wanted to talk about a few more things as it relates to symptoms and signs, because again, there's so many of them.
Right.
And the issue, weight loss is the big draw anymore, Cal. You could have any other condition, but if you help somebody with their weight, they'll think that's the greatest thing you could have ever done for them. And there's such an emphasis in our country on these. I'm going to be careful of my wording, folks, but I'm not a big fan of all these different weight loss programs out there. They all have a gimmick behind them because they don't consider the real source and cause of why you may be losing the weight, but you're not keeping it off. And there's definitely an issue with your thyroid and other things which we're going to talk about that support the thyroid, like the adrenal glands. And what drives me crazy, and I can't name them because I don't want lawsuits at my doorstep, my office tomorrow, but these major programs, everybody knows the names of them, that they talk about, oh, we're going to deliver food to your door, and oh, we use the psychological thing over here, and we do this thing over there, and all these really pretty commercials about all this stuff. But the basic bottom line is, the reality of it is that we have a body, our body, first of all, the thyroid is out of kilter, the adrenals are out of kilter because of stress, are as a result, all these other things are happening, and we're not effectively able to metabolize, keep the weight off. And that what we do, Dr. Streeter and I do each day with our patients is say, look, let's individualize the situation with you. Let's determine, in the case of your thyroid, let's see how, it's off balance. We're going to see how off balance it is. We're going to talk about it in an individualized program to restore your thyroid, to revitalize your adrenals and your thyroid and whatever other systems are involved. So Cal, what do you say on that?
Yeah, people that come to me with weight problems, for years, I've used HCG, and part of that HCG program was to get your body to burn fat, but it had to include thyroid, adrenals, and hormone balance. I won't treat somebody for a weight problem without treating the thyroid, the adrenals, and the hormones. That gets me in all, they've tried to take HCG off the market for years because HCG is the hormone that your body uses to metabolize fats. If you get fat around your midsection, you don't have any hormone that burns fats, okay? And you have to have that. Leptin is the hormone that burns fats. And unless you get your body to use leptin, and that's what HCG does. HCG is the hormone that ladies have a lot of when they're pregnant. And that makes your body use leptin. Well, if you can use leptin, you'll burn fat, okay? You'll get your energy back, all right? But that's just true. The cause is thyroid, hormone imbalance, okay? Adrenals. I have to treat those as well as the weight problem.
I'm glad you brought that up, Cal, because that is my mantra also, because I'm mentoring with you, and every patient I treat, the foundation of effective weight management is let's get the adrenals, the thyroid, and the hormones in balance. So in discussing the thyroid of that triad of thyroid, adrenal, hormone, the thyroid is kind of like that conductor, right?
That's exactly right.
It's the conductor. Exactly right. It's the thyroid is conducting the adrenals and the hormones.
And I refuse to treat a weight problem without addressing thyroid, hormones, and adrenals.
And by the way, folks, the adrenal and hormones will be another subject for down the road, but we wanted to bring it into the picture tonight as we're giving a basic overview of the thyroid, because you have to understand that the adrenals and the hormones are like I said, the thyroid is conductor, and they're the part of the orchestra, but a big part of the orchestra, the adrenals and hormones.
That's right.
And I brought up the topic of weight because the bottom line is, for you folks wanting to be experiencing effective weight management, you've got to get your thyroid and foremost healthy and balanced.
Yo-yo weight loss is worthless.
And why would you say yo-yo weight loss is worthless, Cal?
Because you take it off and the thing that caused it has not been addressed, so it's coming right back.
And would you
Okay.
not agree that that's stressful on the body?
It is very, very. I'm interested in treating a cause and having it fixed. Okay. And if you get it fixed, you're not going to have it keep coming back and coming back and coming back.
So when we were discussing the iodine stain test, and this relates to the weight loss issue that we're talking of, because one of the first things I do with my patient, let's say my gals that are wanting to have effective weight management, we're going to establish that iodine stain test. How many hours has that stain on there? We want to get it to 12 hours, and we're going to use whatever supplements nutritional therapies that I use to do that, accomplish that with. We're also going to want to mention to Cal the temperature test, right? The getting a morning temperature test.
That's right.
And you folks want to have a minimum when you do your morning temperature first thing in the morning. You want to have a minimum temperature of 97.8.
That's right.
And when you can get to the point where you've got a temperature of 97.8 and a stain that lasts for 12 hours, would you not agree, Cal? You're ready to go, right?
Right. Now, if you're a menstruating lady, the only time your thyroid is your temperature is accurate is the day you menstruate, the day after. Okay. And you do that first thing in the morning, you can tell right away whether your thyroid's working or not. You don't have to have sophisticated lab tests to tell you whether your thyroid's working or not.
And really, Dr. Streeter and I rely a lot of times on what we're talking about, folks, this iodine stain test and temperature test, right, Cal?
That's right.
I mean, we're going to look at, of course, the markers that Cal mentioned that we discussed, which was T3, T4, TSH, reverse T3, TPO, and thyroglobulin antibody. Those are 6 markers, right?
Yeah, you want free T3 and free T4.
Free T3 and free T4 are those of you listening. But in the long run, we still rely significantly on the iodine stain test and the AM temperature test in the end.
Right. Yeah, if a patient is hypothyroid and their insurance is involved, you're going to have to run lab tests.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I work in the Amish community, so we don't do a lot of, I don't do any insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, don't do any of that because the Amish don't believe in that stuff.
Better off.
Yeah.
Which for those of you watching and listening tonight, Dr. Streeter has been for many years doctoring to the Amish populations up there in Michigan and Indiana and Pennsylvania for like how long now, Dr. Streeter, you've been working with them?
Oh, 30 years.
About 30 years with the Amish folks.
Yeah.
And
they're good patients.
Yes, they are. They're great patients. I had the wonderful experience myself when I practiced in Kalamazoo when I was there nearby you in my years there.
They're patients who are godly, and they're honest. They do what they say they'll do, and they follow your directions. The only place, Mike, that we've got a bigger problem than our health issues is our spiritual issues. Every patient that comes to me, I give them a tract that says someday you'll stand before God. Okay. And I ask them, are you 100% sure of heaven? I'm not going to heaven because I got a good church or because I got a good religion. I'm going to heaven because I got a perfect Savior. Okay. When Jesus rose from the dead and went back to heaven, he sat down at the right hand of God the Father, and he's a defense attorney, an advocate. People go to heaven because they got an eternal defense attorney, not because they got a good religion or because they got a good church. Okay? Hell's going to be full of church members and good religionists.
Isn't that the truth for sure? And
sure.
It's a good thing today. We're getting like a
revival
of our faith.
Okay, I worry about that more than anything else.
Well, you're a true Christian and walk in faith, and we're we're seeing a revival now. Thank goodness, thank God for that too. So in a few next, we're going to go for another good 10 minutes here, Cal, and we'll wind up tonight's segment as an introduction to the thyroid. The way I wanted to continue here, if you could talk a little bit about, Cal, for folks listening, and let's say they said, what would be, just to start with, what would be the best way a person could eat just to help their thyroid out? What would you say to them?
Help the thyroid out?
What would be a way of eating, their diet? What kind of diet would you say a person should really rely on as a good foundation for their thyroid health?
An organic diet that doesn't have pesticides, herbicides, doesn't have perchlorate in it. Okay.
And how about when they ask about salt, Cal? Like when iodized salt and all that. What do you suggest with salt?
I use real salt, Celtic salt. Okay. Real salt, Celtic salt. What's the other one?
How about Himalayan, Cal?
Himalayan salt. Yeah.
You like Himalayan?
Yes. You want salt that has not been involved in a petroleum spill. And see, those salts are glacial salts, so that they've not been involved in spills.
So you mentioned the amount of iodine really let's say a woman's body needs on a daily basis. What amount would we be at, Cal?
At least 25 milligrams a day.
At least 25 milligram. Okay.
That's the average lady needs 25 milligrams a day.
And you made reference to, Cal, you mentioned selenium and of course the amino acid tyrosine that need to be available, right, for the body to utilize the iodine, correct?
I take 200 micrograms of selenium twice a day, okay, along with my iodine.
So selenium is critical, essential at that 200 microgram twice a day for the thyroid to be able to utilize the iodine, correct?
Right. To fight off cancer. We've not even talked about cancer.
That's another subject all by itself.
If you don't have enough iodine and selenium, you're a cancer waiting to happen.
Well, that's what I want to end tonight's discussion on. When we look at the implication of the thyroid on the different organs of the body, one of the starting points with the thyroid's effect is on the immune system, correct?
That's exactly right.
The thyroid has a significant impact on the immune system.
Right. This coronavirus thing, okay? When I first came in contact and found out that it was around, I jacked my vitamin D3 up and my vitamin A up, okay, to where it was higher than most people would want to talk about, okay? I take at least 50,000 50,000 units of vitamin D3 3 or 4 times a week with K2.
Because the D3, which is another subject, has a significant implication on the thyroid gland. Would you not agree?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can't separate the thyroid from the immune system.
No. It's one. I mean, the implication of the thyroid in the immune system is significant, but if we look at the thyroid's implication, Cal, also on the cardiovascular system, on the heart, it's very significant. I've heard the comparison that the thyroid is to the heart as the idler is to the engine.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You can't have a good heart function without good thyroid function.
And so let's look at all the heart problems that we are seeing in this country, but they actually started as a thyroid problem that went undetected.
Exactly right.
Correct?
You bet. If you got a heart problem, you better get your thyroid checked.
And therein lies a big, big problem and issue. And I see it all day long, every day. Patients that come in to see me that have a cardiac issue, and I'll say, look, we need to go to the source of this problem. And 99% of the time, the thyroid is involved, right? So we can't get the heart as healthy as possible unless we get the thyroid healthy.
That's right. That's where it started. Okay. You have to do a history on a patient. I sit right down and do a history, a full page history on every patient that comes to me. Okay. And I can pick out most of the health problems and most of the health issues just by doing a history.
But that's what the real medicine is all about, though, isn't it, Cal? The old, like, you come from that school where there's an old saying, if you listen to the patient long enough, they'll tell you what's wrong with them, right?
That's exactly right.
And as a doctor, we're supposed to listen, because listening, and if we've been doing this long enough, we start to, it's like putting the pieces of a puzzle together, right?
Right. Now here's the big issue. Are we listening for health issues, or are we listening for sickness issues? Okay. I'm interested in health issues. When did you feel good last? When's the last time you felt healthy? Okay. Instead of how sick are you?
And Cal, that's the point of it all too, as we've discussed before. We are in a sickness-based system.
That's right.
And a health-based system.
That's right.
So when we, tonight's discussion is for you folks to think about what we've talked about, and that is the thyroid is the foundation and basis of so many health problems. It is the source. We want to talk about its, not just its implications in those conditions, but also what can we do? We'll get into with future talks. What can you do to get your health, your thyroid healthy again?
We're not just a thyroid, but you got to start someplace, and that's a good place to start because it controls our metabolism.
And the future segments, Cal, will be covering the adrenals. We'll be talking about the hormones. We'll be talking about the gut health. We'll be talking about the heart. So folks, you're in for a long journey with us, but an exciting one. It's our honor to be able to bring this information to you. And we as doctors, the definition of doctors, I always tell my patient is means to teach. And we are here to teach you, to empower you, to give you the information, to empower you, to have the best possible.
The best doctor for you is the body God gave to you.
There you go. Dr. Cal said it best. The best doctor is the body that you have, that God gave you. It's your temple. Be a good steward of it. And we're going to help you continue to be the best steward ever. So with that, Dr. Cal, I thank you for joining me tonight. I thank all of you folks for tuning in. We appreciate the opportunity to be with you. We will be here again next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I'll be sending out an invitation. I'm sorry we had some technical difficulties again tonight. We probably had some that I'm not even aware of right now, but I'll find out. I'll work them out. But we are here to share, tell others about our segment. If you would like to get a hold of me to find out about our segment or any information we talked about tonight, reach out to me at 386-274-2520 or write to me at email healingphysician@aol.com. Dr. Streeter, any last words before we finish up?
No, I'll just say this. At 81 years of age, I work on my health more than anybody else's. I'm not going to let my patients get healthier than I am.
You heard it tonight, folks. You heard it from Dr. Streeter, and I can tell you that is his philosophy. But you see, he wants to be healthier than his patients because we want him around as long as possible to help as many people continue to help as many people as possible. So
I want to be here as long as God wants me to be.
As long as the good Lord wants you here, Cal, but you just want to give yourself the best quality of health possible while you're serving him. That's exactly right. My same philosophy as well. So with that, we're going to say good night. God bless, and we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night.